With San Francisco wrapping up another victory and moving to 5-2 on the year, probably the biggest storyline on the offensive side of the ball was the play of their backup center in Matt Hennessy. The 27-year-old filled in for Jake Brendel as he dealt with a hamstring injury, and throughout the game, he proved to be an effective option, not only in the running game, but also the passing game. So in this video, we're going to go over why I believe he could end up being San Francisco's center of the future. Initially, to start out, the first thing that really stood out about this game in general to me on San Francisco's offensive side of the ball was how they finally were able to get the running game going. Prior to this game, for example, Christian McCaffrey was only averaging 3.1 yards a carry, and in this game, he exploded, averaging 5.4 yards a carry. And while in part that was due to Kittle's return, several of Christian McCaffrey's longer runs of the day came directly as a result of a Matt Hennessy block. Here on this play, for instance, San Francisco is running a trap play, pulling Pooney across this offensive line and trapping this defensive end, allowing him a free release up the field. Meanwhile, the rest of their offensive linemen are stepping play side, with the hoping they can create clear cutback lanes for Christian McCaffrey to exploit. And right here, focusing on Matt Hennessy, he has a pretty challenging hook block he has to execute. He has to down block on this defensive tackle lined up on his outside shoulder, then as soon as he engages, he has to flip his hips to cut him off from this play. Nevertheless, he's able to get there, and once engaged, he does a great job of staying engaged in part due to his grip strength that flips his hips and creates the clear cutback lane for Christian McCaffrey to work with, and ultimately helps spring this run. In a similar way on this tight end counter, Hennessy is responsible for this linebacker being sent on the blitz, and initially he does a nice job of engaging with him, and once again he creates a clear wall for Christian McCaffrey to press, which gets the entire defense flowing that direction. And as soon as he sees Kittle engage with this backer, he then can bounce it back to the outside on this play, ultimately taking advantage of Hennessy's block. So once again, right here, Hennessy is directly responsible for a massive play for Christian McCaffrey. The final aspect of Hennessy's hook blocks I really want to focus on is just how athletic he is and how great his feet are when executing these hook blocks. Here, for instance, he's responsible for down blocking this defensive tackle lined up outside of Connor Kobe's shoulder. Nevertheless, because of his insane athleticism, he's able to almost instantly get there, and then pay attention to his feet. He's almost kick sliding up the field with this defensive tackle, and regardless of what he's trying to do to disengage from him on this play, right here, Hennessy is staying engaged with a double underhooks, really once again creating a clear cutback lane. Another underappreciated aspect of his game, in my opinion, is just how strong his grip strength is. Here, this nose tackle is actually slanting away from his block, but because he has strong grip strength, he's actually able to throw him almost across his field, not draw the holding call most importantly, and once again, this run is coming right off his block. Another thing you'll notice about Hennessy is how he remains active throughout the play. Here on this play, for instance, he quickly engages with Pooney's man, drives him outside of the play, and seeing Connor Kobe need help, he actually hits his man as well. The final aspect of Hennessy's run blocking I wanted to touch on is just how great he is at double teaming his way up to the second level. Here, for instance, despite this defensive lineman being lined way outside his shoulder, he's able to get there in a flash and then starts driving him up the field, and almost instantly he's able to identify Floyd looping over the top, so he disengages and then re-engages with a much more athletic player here and starts to drive him down the field. To further highlight his ability to double team his way up to the second level, on this play he's responsible for double teaming this defensive tackle and then cutting off any linebacker, defensive end, basically anyone who tries to flow across the field. And initially, he does a great job getting that drive on this defensive tackle outside the play, and then making his way up the field, he's able to once again flip his hips and cut off this defensive player from Christian McCaffrey's run. I really don't think they would have been as effective without Hennessy in this game. And while mainly so far I've been focusing on Hennessy's ability as a run blocker, throughout this game, you could argue his pass blocking was actually better. And one thing he did a really nice job of in this aspect of his game was identifying stunts and blitzes. Here on this play, for example, he's able to identify pre-snap this backer coming on the blitz, which also gives him an indicator a potential stunt is coming. On top of that, post-snap, this defensive tackle is landing hard in front of his face and then using a bull rush to try to create separation for this defensive end. But because Hennessy is able to identify it, he picks him up with his left side and also stays engaged with Pooney's man to help him out as well on this play. And then look at his anchoring. Even though he's facing 2 men essentially right here, he gives Mac Jones enough time to let this thing fly deep down the field to Demarcus Robinson, and on this play, I really don't know how Robinson didn't catch this. In a similar way, once again on this play, the Falcons are sending the blitz, and Hennessy is quick to identify it, so first he helps pick up 98, and then seeing 51 being sent, he also picks him up, so once again helps block 2 players on this play, which allows Mac Jones to get this completion right here. Another thing Hennessy did a really nice job of throughout this game in his pass protection was his ability to pick up these bull rushes. Here with this nose tackle, just trying to straight up bully him on this play, driving him into the backfield, Hennessy is able to anchor, and while driven into the backfield a bit, he's really not giving up this block. And even with the lateral movement here, because of his athleticism, Hennessy is able to stay engaged, and Mac Jones once again gets the completion. This lateral ability by Hennessy is vital in his pass protection, and routinely throughout this Falcons game it came up. Here going against this nose tackle, for instance, he'll be shooting hard across Hennessy's face, so quickly Hennessy is able to respond in part due to his footwork and athleticism, but he doesn't stop there, as this defensive tackle, once he gets Hennessy's momentum going that direction, then tries to shoot hard across his face to get into the backfield. Because Hennessy is such an athletic player, he doesn't freak out at all and starts to slide with him, re-engages, and gives Mac Jones plenty of time on this play. Another thing about Hennessy, because he is such an athletic center, he can do everything Kyle Shanahan wants to with an offensive lineman. Here, for instance, he can go ahead and set up a screen for Christian McCaffrey, then breaks out, and even makes another block on this play. This is what you want out of a center for a movement-oriented system like Kyle Shanahan's. With that being said, sometimes he will dip his head and he doesn't have the longest arms, so he needs to continue to improve as a player, but overall, when I'm looking at him as a player, I think he could be San Francisco's long-term center. He's only 27, so right now, he's really entering the prime of his career compared to Jake Brendel, who is 33, so most likely on the back half of his career. So for the remainder of the season, I think San Francisco should start Matt Hennessy, see what they have in the young guy, like they have basically been doing with every single position throughout this entire year, and maybe they have found their next future center in Matt Hennessy. But ultimately, these are just some of my thoughts on his outing against the Falcons. And now I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think he should take over for Jake Brendel just to see if he can continue to improve and potentially be a better player than him overall? Or would you like San Francisco just continuing to roll with Brendel if available? It would also mean a ton to me if you did enjoy this video, if you could go ahead and like and subscribe. It truly helps out the channel a ton. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.